I never thought I'd watch my children pack their belongings into cardboard boxes while the man who had raised them carried those boxes out the door. I never thought the person who kept us safe, fed, and loved would one day draw a line so sharp it cut through everything I thought I knew about family. But that's exactly what happened, and the truth is, it happened because of me. This is the story of how silence nearly cost me my marriage, my children's stability, and the respect of the only man who truly showed up for us. My name is Melissa. I'm 39, mother of two teenagers, Noah, 17, and Grace, 15. I've been married to David for 8 years. When I met David, I was coming out of a messy divorce. My ex-husband, their biological father, was what you'd call a sometimes dad. He popped in when it was convenient, usually with a half-hearted promise that fizzled out before it was ever kept. The kids knew it. I knew it. And then David came into our lives. Not flashy, not loud. Just steady. Solid. He became the man who showed up every single time. Dentist visits, braces, soccer practices, school trips, you name it, he was there. He paid for our home, our bills, our groceries, everything. But more than money, he gave us something we'd been missing: stability. I thought, finally, we're whole again. But teenagers change. Slowly at first, then all at once. 6 months ago, Noah got his first girlfriend. Suddenly, my goofy boy became cocky, arrogant, convinced he knew everything. Grace, my sweet little girl who used to curl up next to David and call him Dad, grew cold, distant, secretive. I told myself it was just hormones, a phase, that they'd come back around. What I didn't realize, or maybe didn't want to realize, was how their attitudes toward David were shifting, and how my silence was letting it happen. It started with small moments. One night, David asked Noah to take out the trash before going to a friend's house. Noah muttered under his breath, "You're not my real dad anyway. Why should I listen to you?" David froze. He glanced at me. I felt it, the sting, the plea for me to say something, to back him up. But I didn't. I just kept scrolling on my phone like I hadn't heard. Because deep down, I was afraid. Afraid that if I defended David too strongly, I'd push Noah further away. Then came Grace. I overheard her one afternoon, FaceTiming a friend. She laughed and said, "David is so lame. He acts like he owns the place." My chest tightened, but once again, I stayed silent. I convinced myself it was a teenage attitude, nothing more. But that silence, my silence, was about to shatter everything. The breaking point came on a Saturday morning. I was upstairs folding laundry. Noah and Grace were in the kitchen, music blasting. David was in the garage fixing a leaky pipe. That's when I heard them. Noah bragging, "I'm throwing a party when Mom and David go out of town." Grace laughed. "Who cares? It's not even his house. He pays for it." Noah chimed in, "Yeah, he acts like he's the boss. He's just Mom's husband. This is our house too. He can't tell us what to do." And then silence. Because David had heard every word. He stood in the doorway, his face unreadable. No yelling, no anger. Just quiet, devastation. The next morning, he called us into the living room. His voice was calm, too calm. "You're right," he said. "This isn't my house. So here's what's going to happen." Noah smirked. "What's your problem, man?" David's jaw tightened. My problem is that I've spent 8 years pouring everything I have into this family, and I'm nothing more than a paycheck to you. Then he looked at me, and I'll never forget his words. You and your kids are going to go stay with their real dad. Since I apparently have no say in this house, let's see how he handles it. My blood ran cold. David, please. They're just kids. They didn't mean it. You can't do this. But his eyes were firm. 3 days. Pack your things. Day 1, I tried to convince myself he was bluffing, that he'd cool down. Noah shrugged it off, saying, "He's just mad. He'll get over it." Grace rolled her eyes. "Yeah, Mom, he won't actually kick us out." But when David came home from work that night, he carried empty boxes into their rooms. No words, just boxes. And in that silence, I felt the first crack of fear. Day 2. The kids still didn't believe him. They joked while half-heartedly filling boxes with clothes. But I noticed Grace's hands trembling as she folded her favorite sweater. I saw Noah's smirk fading every time David walked by, stone-faced. That night, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, guilt gnawing at me. My silence had led us here. My children didn't respect David because I hadn't demanded it. And now we were all paying the price. Day 3. The house was eerily quiet, boxes stacked by the front door. The kids weren't laughing anymore. Grace whispered, "Mom, is he really going to make us go?" I swallowed the lump in my throat. "I don't know, honey." But I did know. David wasn't bluffing. When he loaded the boxes into his truck, my heart cracked. Noah muttered, "This is stupid. He can't just—" But his voice broke before he could finish. And then we drove. The silence in that truck was heavier than any argument. When we arrived at my ex-husband's apartment, he opened the door in shock. What's this?" he stammered. David's voice was steady. "Your kids. They wanted to stay with their real dad. I'm just making it easier for them." Noah and Grace froze. Reality hit hard. The apartment smelled musty. Dirty dishes piled in the sink. No food is stocked in the fridge. No clean sheets. No space. Grace's eyes filled with tears. Noah's bravado collapsed. For the first time, they saw the truth. Their real dad wasn't ready to be one. I moved us into my sister's house that night. The kids were furious, confused, and heartbroken. I cried myself to sleep, guilt pressing on me like a weight I couldn't lift. The first week, silence. No calls from David. No texts. Just emptiness. But then the apologies started. Noah texted first. "I didn't mean it. I was just being dumb." Grace followed. "I'm sorry. I didn't realize how much he did for us. I miss him." And me? I swallowed my pride and texted, "David, I failed you. I should have defended you. I should have had your back." But he didn't fold. He told us respect had to be shown, not just spoken. Weeks later, there was a knock on his door. Noah and Grace stood there. No smirks, no arrogance, just fear and humility. "Can we talk?" Noah asked quietly. And David, God bless him, opened the door. They sat at the kitchen table for hours. David explained, calmly, how hurt he had been, how hard he had tried, and for the first time, my children truly listened. I joined later, my hands shaking. "David, I let you down. I let us down. Please don't give up on us. And slowly, brick by brick, we began to rebuild. Here's the lesson I learned. Silence is dangerous. When you don't stand up for the one who shows up every day, you're not being neutral. You're choosing against them. And in that silence, I almost lost the man who gave us everything. So, was David wrong for packing up my kids and dropping them at their father's? At first, I thought yes. Now, I see it as the only thing that could have opened our eyes. Sometimes love isn't soft. Sometimes love is setting a boundary so firm they can't be ignored. And if you ask me today, I thank God David did what he did. Because without that, we might have lost everything.
Every story we share comes from the heart. So if you felt this one, hit like, subscribe, and join us for the next chapter.